So when you're scuba diving, the deeper you go, the more pressure there is around you from the water. So you have to clear your ears as you go deeper. And your regulator has to give the air to you at a higher pressure, because you won't be able to inhale if you don't have the air supplied to you at the same pressure as the water around you. What that means is that the deeper you go, the more air you're actually breathing in. It's just compressed into a smaller package. And the nitrogen in that air goes into your lungs and into your blood, and it saturates your blood, kind of like water saturating a sponge. When you come back up, that nitrogen has to be able to get back out of your blood and out through your lungs, and that only happens slowly. So in the early days of scuba diving, the Navy did tests to find out how long you can stay at each depth before you have to come up. Otherwise, the nitrogen won't be able to come out, and you'll get what's called the bends. You'll get bubbles in your blood, and that is really bad. So as divers, we always want to avoid what's called decompression sickness, or the bends. So they came up with a set of tables, and the tables basically said how deep you could go and stay and then come back to the surface without decompression, and you'd be safe. And for example, at 60 feet, now I'm using the PADI tables, which are a little bit different from the Navy tables, but at 60 feet, you can stay for 55 minutes, and you can come up without having to decompress. You just have to come up slowly, but you can stay for 55 minutes at 60 feet. Now the problem is, with a table, the problem is that your dive doesn't generally just go to one depth. Usually, you might go to 60 feet for a while, then you come up to 40 feet for a while, then you come up to 30 feet for a while, and then eventually you decide the dive's over and you surface. So you didn't spend the whole dive at 60 feet. But with a table, there's no way to get credit for the time you spent at a shallower depth. So they had to invent this. This is the greatest invention in scuba diving, the dive computer. Now there's different kinds. Some go on your console with your pressure gauge. Some, like this one, which is my shear water, they go on your wrist. But basically what this thing does, it has a sensor in it that knows how deep it is. And as you change depth throughout the dive, it constantly calculates how much nitrogen is going into your blood at each depth. And then it tells you when you need to come up, and it keeps you safe. So this is a really important piece of gear, and it means that we no longer need to use dive tables. This also, because it calculates constantly, it gives you more diving time, because you get credit for when you're shallower and you're taking in less nitrogen. But then it also, when you're deeper, it calculates what you're doing down there too. So dive computers are a very, very important piece of scuba diving equipment.